From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers on the board. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. It is a great day to be Wisconsinite. Welcome in, everybody, here at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison, Wisconsin on State Street. A little cloudy right now, Zommers. Some rain coming in over the evening hours. And in some cases, some places had some localized flooding across the state of Wisconsin. Here in Madison on the east side, a lot of people know Woodman's very well across the state. And really, my heart goes out to those folks, Woodman's folks and the customers. So far, I don't believe anybody was seriously injured, but there appears to be a backup in some of the drainage systems on the Woodman's east, on the east side in Sun Prairie. And a large portion of the roof and the ceiling in Woodman's East Madison collapsed. And it was just like literally like a waterfall coming into the store. And fire department was called. They evacuated. Again, as far as I know, no injuries, or at least anything severe, thank goodness. But it's going to take a while to clean up. Woodman's East, I believe, remains closed here in the greater Madison area. So that was going on. I know there was some flash flooding. Again, you know, goofballs think they can drive through these flooded streets. Please just remember the old adage: turn around, don't drown, don't try to cross a street that's underwater. The good news is most of the ag community was watching a little bit of Pam Yonke, Midwest Farm Report. We'll get an update from her at the bottom of the hour. A lot of our Midwest or our Wisconsin farmers, rather, mostly happy about the amount of rain. Is starting to even out the drought and the dry conditions. So, but it looks like more rain in today and tomorrow, and then maybe towards the weekend it starts to get nice. And next week, highs like 80 and sun. How about that?
I understand that's pleasant for most people.
Zommers won't be happy until there's snow back in the air.
Well, not necessarily. It's just I don't like the number to start with an 8.
All right, very good. So anyway, that's the forecast. In short, Brittany Merlot will continue to update us at the tops of the hour throughout the day, so keep it tuned here. Coming up a little bit later on in the show, going to talk about Governor Tony Evers making an announcement late yesterday afternoon that he is ready to veto the entire state budget, assuming that the Republican legislature passes one, if it does not include childcare. Now, we heard from State Senator Kelda Royce on this program yesterday, talked a little bit about it, by the way. Many thanks to Jane Matnair and Greg Bach, kind enough to have me on their great show this morning. You can hear them every morning from 9 until 11. I know they've talked about it, but this issue of childcare is essential. It turns out it's very popular with voters as well. Because if the state does nothing, whether that means having a budget that would get passed and signed with little to no additional funding, or if they just hold serve and there is no budget to hold it at current levels, what that means for child care providers and people with kids in this state would be catastrophic. Because as we've learned, the Wisconsin child care system is being propped up, I'll use the term, by the fact that there were federal dollars during the pandemic, COVID, that were coming into the state. Tony Evers decided to use those to supplement money to child care providers to keep it affordable and keep it going. Those monies are now done, not being replaced by the Trump administration or the Republican-controlled Congress. So that puts the ball in Wisconsin's court. And if they don't use part of the $4 billion with a B surplus of state money, if they don't use part of that $4 billion to supplement childcare, it'll be catastrophic. So Tony Evers last night said, look, guys and gals of the Republican legislature, if you don't include childcare in the state budget at a reasonable level, I'm not signing it. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on in the show. RFK Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, testifying before Congress today, doesn't know what's on his own agency website. We'll have the cut for you in Mr. Kennedy's own words there. And also, what's worse today, Zobbers? An ice cream or custard standoff. How about that?
I mean, neither is bad, but
and it's not
the
even ice
question
cream.
still
It's
was
not
worse.
even ice cream. It's soft serve versus custard.
Right.
So we'll discuss that in hour 2 and much more along the way. But first of all, it's 11 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. I wanted to start off here. We talked about this yesterday. Had the guest here on the show from the University of San Francisco. Many thanks to Shelly Pittman, by the way, our great news director, for hooking us up with Steven Zunez, professor of politics and Middle Eastern studies at the University of San Francisco, helping us to walk through what's going on in the Middle East. And Professor Zunez said yesterday on this program, when I asked him the question, well, is there a chance that maybe what President Trump here is doing could actually lead to a peaceful resolution and help make the U.S. safer by disarming Iran and bring some peace? And a person that has a doctorate in Middle Eastern studies said no. It turns out that no, bombing people is not going to bring them to the table quicker, really. That's kind of my short synopsis of what he said in much better terms. Well, last night, President Donald Trump took to his social media platform and declared the thing over. Said we should call it a 12-day war. This will go down in history. I have brought peace to the region. There is a ceasefire agreement in effect. He said last night that Israel and Iran had agreed to a, quote, complete and total ceasefire, unquote. A move, he said, would end the 12-day conflict between the two countries. The ceasefire would take hold in stages, the president said. A White House official told CBS News that Iran would halt strikes against Israel from midnight Eastern time last night, and Israel was to stop striking Iran 12 hours after that, noon Eastern today. Another 12 hours after that, or midnight Eastern time tonight, or early Wednesday morning, whatever you want to say, the war would be considered over. Well, this morning, Israel accused Iran of launching several missiles at Israeli territory. At least one made an impact in the southern city of Beersheba, killing 4 people. It was unclear at the time whether the missiles were fired before or after the ceasefire was due to take effect, but Israel's defense chief accused Iran of breaching the agreement and ordered a response. Israel later said it had launched a final round of strikes at Iran before the ceasefire began. Well, President Trump said this morning that the ceasefire was still, quote, in effect, unquote, and appeared to be holding. But earlier this morning, Trump voiced frustration with both countries, accusing them of violating the agreement he had announced just hours earlier. Israel accused Iran of breaching the agreement minutes before it was intended to take effect, and said it would be responding forcefully, quote unquote. Well, Trump did not like this. He thought this was easy peasy. Look, you just throw a few bombs out there. You tell him it's over. I'll take credit for it. It's like The Apprentice. Of course, I joked. This is what, and God loves Zommers for cleaning it up to keep us on the air, because this is an actual quote from our actual president. We're going to play the entire clip because people say, well, Todd, you chopped this up to make it sound like you said things that, no, we're going to play the whole thing as he went to Marine Force One Marine One this morning on his way leaving the White House. The reporter gaggle, as they call it, stopped him to interview the president on what's going on in the Middle East. Here we go.
Israel said that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. When I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
That was the President of the United States. His reaction to not being able to solve the Middle Eastern problem that has gone on for decades, if not centuries, was you have two sides that have been fighting so hard and so long. You know what? They don't know what the F they're doing. Now, the reason I'm chuckling about this is because I watched this earlier on network television from CBS, ABC, CNN, all played that clip. The CBS reporter introduced the clip that we just played by saying, quote, "This morning, the president used strong language when describing the Middle Eastern situation." And then played it. And this is what just grates on me. Grates on me. Like nails on a chalkboard. And these are the little things, in my opinion, that are changing the way that we digest the news. Because I'm telling you, if Barack Obama had used that kind of language on the lawn of the White House, there'd be all kinds of folks on the right, and especially from conservative media, that would have said Barack Obama's a thug. He's using gang language in the White House. But no, legacy media like CBS is introducing that clip by calling that language strong. Strong. In other words, to make it sound like he's a leader, like he's a strong president. Strong language, in my opinion, is when George H.W. Bush put together an international coalition to stop Saddam Hussein in his invasion of Kuwait. And said, look, we have worked with our international partners, allies around the world, and if Saddam Hussein does not leave Kuwait, we will take decisive action. That's strong language, in my opinion, from a president of the United States. Just dropping an F-bomb because it turns out that Donald Trump doesn't understand the Middle East, and he has chosen to, in his second term, appoint people around him who are yes men and women who also don't fully understand the Middle East. Guess who does? Stephen Zunes, professor of politics and Middle Eastern studies at the University of San Francisco, who was on this program yesterday, who said, no, this ain't going to work. Because to solve difficult problems, you have to have people that, guess what, have gone to a university like the University of Wisconsin and understood, studied, learned from people around the world so that you can actually get diplomacy. People like James Earl Carter, President of the United States Democrat, who actually fostered a real peace agreement between Israel and Egypt. We'll come back on the other side. Take your phone calls, 855-752-4842. Don't go anywhere. It's the Allbaugh Show. It's Tuesday, and you're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network.
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government buy-in.
I let Charles know that we take his call on the other side.
Redistricting is a once-a-decade event. For Ohio and Texas,
we had to come back with the love
redistricting may turn
yes.
an ongoing partisan battle as both states consider interim redistricting as the midterms approach. First to Ohio, where a state law requires voting district maps passed without bipartisan support to be redrawn after only 4 years. The 2020 maps ping-pong between a politician-led redistricting commission, the state Supreme Court, and the legislature. In 2024, voters unfortunately rejected a citizen-led redistricting commission ballot initiative after Ohio's ballot commission disingenuously suggested
By the way,
ballot
Tony,
measure
if you're
itself
watching,
promoted
thanks for the shout out for
gerrymandering.
Todd
The
in
Ohio
today's
Capital
meeting.
Oh, yes,
Journal
thank you,
reports
Tony.
that the legislature set
Sorry,
a
I was on
deadline
a-
for the end of
I was supposed to
September,
be on
and
another
that
call.
pro-voter groups
I
are
never came to
already
fruition,
preparing
but that's why I couldn't
alternative
be at the
fair
meeting.
maps to contrast the likely highly partisan state-drawn maps. The Texas Tribune reports that the state's Republican congressional delegation met June 9th to discuss how to redistrict some of its 38 congressional districts before the midterms to help preserve GOP control of Congress. A 2024 study showed current maps gerrymandered an additional 5 seats for Republicans. June 23rd, Texas Governor Greg Abbott called a special session of the legislature, but did not include a request for interim redistricting for now. We have state reporting linked at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
An unsuspecting driver at a gas station in Wisconsin.
Welcome, Paul 15. How you doing?
Great.
Were you wearing your seatbelt
Also,
today?
the whole like you don't make a 12-hour agreement and then drop bombs in the first hour. Yeah, you do. If you tell people I want you to come over at 5 and then get mad when they're not there at 4:15.
Well, let's do this. Let's do it together. Now, don't that feel better?
Donald Driver can't always be there to remind you.
Did we change the color of
And
like
let's reduce
of
fatalities on
behind my
Wisconsin
name?
roadways.
Is it a darker green than it used to
It
be?
was blue. I will explain
Sponsored
that
by
later.
Wisconsin DOT.
I want it to be blue.
Okay.
We are the National
20
Trump
seconds.
All
Foundation.
right, thank you. Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network. I love that song. That is what the MAGA folks are playing in D.C. today. They voted for a guy who said, we're not going to war. Tulsi Gabbard said, vote for Donald Trump. He's a peacemaker. The MAGA said we don't need any more wars. We want to vote for an isolationist. And now Donald Trump has got us into a situation where we're darn near at war. He thought he solved it in a few hours. But so far, not looking like it. The MAGAs, they can't be with the one they love. They can't be with a person who doesn't start a war, so they got to love the one they're with. You know who I think of every time I hear that song?
Crosby, Stills, and or Nash.
Them two. No, I think of my great friend, former producer, and like I said, maybe the producer of Late Night with Todd Allbaugh at UW Platteville, Clark H.V. Gilson. The HV stands for Harvey Villachez. Not really. You know who Harvey Villachez was?
No,
He played Tattoo on Fantasy Island.
that does not help me.
Gilson! Anyway, back to the matters at hand. Donald Trump, hey, if you're a Republican, you got to love the one you're with, baby. Donald Trump tried to broker, thought he could get peace through bombs, I guess. I don't know. And it turns out now he's very upset, dropping F-bombs this morning in the White House lawn because the peace ain't holding real well. And now here, late-breaking word, this is courtesy and exclusive of CNN. Just came across the wire. It says the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back by months, according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment that was described by 4 people briefed on it. The assessment, which has not been previously reported, was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Pentagon's intelligence arm. It is based on a battle damage assessment conducted by the U.S. Central Command in the aftermath of the U.S. strikes, one of the sources said. The analysis of the damage to the sites and the impact of the strikes on Iran's nuclear ambitions is ongoing and could change as more intelligence becomes available. But the early findings are at odds with President Donald Trump's repeated claims that the strike, quote, completely and totally obliterated, unquote, Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth also said on Sunday that Iran's nuclear ambitions had, quote, been obliterated, unquote. Now, according to U.S. intelligence and military, not so much. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Let's go to the phone lines. Charles, listening on WAUK in beautiful Milwaukee, joins us. Charles, thanks for listening. What say you?
Hey, good afternoon, Todd. Todd, you hit it right on the head. He's clueless. He has no idea anything about foreign affairs. He's put in people around him that know nothing. The counterterrorism guy, 22 years old, he knows nothing. I don't even think he was born when 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
So he's clueless, and you know why he's super irate, Todd. I want to say it was Lindsey Graham. Don't quote me on that. But one of these ignorant people said, if Donald Trump bombs Iran, solves peace, he will win the Nobel Peace Prize. And a lot of this is to do with them thinking that he's going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. You can't even keep peace here in your own country.
I mean, Charles, you probably know better than I. I don't know in my understanding of history. I don't know anybody who won a peace prize by dropping a bomb. That doesn't come to mind real quick for me.
Todd, I swear it was Lindsey Graham or a Republican person that I heard a few days ago say if he drops a bomb on Iran, he will win the
No, you're right. I mean, he went to his Truth Social platform and he was bemoaning that. I mean, ad nauseum, carrying on and on. I'll never get a peace prize for this. I'll never get a peace. I mean, the guy, he's upset. I mean, but he's a guy. We know this about him, right? He's a guy that invites his friends at Mar-a-Lago, makes up a golf tournament, cheats to win so he can have his own trophy. I mean, he loves trophies, and he just wants another trophy to put up there on the cheap, not even real gold mantle now in the Oval Office.
Yeah. And who talks about their response was weak? This is the president of the free world, and he said, their response was weak, or we obliterated nothing once they drop bombs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have people in there right away saying, this is what was destroyed and this wasn't. It takes days or maybe even weeks to find that information out. But Todd, if he says it, Fox News covers it. They got their marching papers. This is what every reporter says, and if you keep saying it, it must be true. Yep. And his people will believe it.
You are right, Charles. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. Have a great day down there in beautiful Milwaukee by the lake. We'll continue to follow this, see what happens. I mean, again, there's some amount of I don't want to call it comedy, I guess, but kind of it makes you chuckle a little bit. But the sad thing is real people are dying. Real people are going to die. And in my opinion, what these actions have done by Trump and the people around him have actually made the region less stable. We'll come back, talk about what's happening to RFK Jr. He doesn't know what's on his own agency website. And he got caught with his pants down. Not pleasant at all. Come by him back. It's the Allbaugh Show at Civic Media. Pam Yonke, the Farm Report's next.
You're listening to 92.7.
RFK Jr. really does love just showing his whole ass to the world every time he goes to a hearing. He's like, I don't understand that. I didn't read that. There's studies that say this. That's not, I don't know.
Catherine, if you're watching the stream, I appreciate your message. I don't know. Do I say nuclear? I like nuclear.
It's wrong.
I know. I don't. That's the way I say it. I mean, I don't know. I'm like George W.
Yeah, he said it wrong too. My dad works at a
and he
nuclear
was
power
president
plant.
of the United States.
Yeah. My dad works at a nuclear plant, and so anytime I hear someone say nuclear, I'm just like, oof.
I don't know. It's just,
But I also
it
didn't.
must be a Richland Center thing. Nuclear?
Well, a lot of people say it that way.
Nuclear or nuclear? What is it? Nuclear?
He said nuclear, but no, it's like the nucleus of an atom, nucleus or nuclear.
What?
Nuclear.
Nuclear.
Nope. Nuclear.
Nuclear. Nuclear. Nuclear.
Yep.
I can't. Everybody knows what I mean.
Yeah.
Nuclear energy.
And yes, I mean every year we have new traditions.
But thank you anyway. I appreciate the feedback.
Come out, it's just fun to come out and just
It's a
experience
colloquialism.
different seasons all year round.
West Texas, Southwest Wisconsin, we pronounce it the same.
Country in Colgate. Now, if you're still trying to catch
It's like I know I say
strawberries, you might want to get
wash the wrong way.
because of the accelerated temperatures. Many strawberry patches are nearing
Or like our promo says, bag versus bag.
Yeah, I started saying bag instead of bag because of harassment in college.
Hey, got yield? The Wisconsin Soybean Association is excited to announce the 2025 Wisconsin Soybean Yield Contest, highlighting the innovative production practices of Wisconsin soybean growers. The Yield Contest celebrates soybean growers across the state and their dedication to improving their operations. 2 winners will be selected from 4 geographical divisions, with additional awards available. Entry forms must be postmarked by August 31st, so don't wait. For more information, visit wisoybean.org.
Giving back. It's at the heart of the Wisconsin farmer, and it starts with supporting the backbones of our community. That's why the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board invests in soy foam for our firefighters. Soy foam TF1122 is the first and only firefighting foam green screen certified at the gold level. As a PFAS-free firefighting foam, it's safe for you and the environment. A safe future for your community. Thanks to your soy checkoff. Learn more at wisoybean.org.
And the rain that's being forecast for Wisconsin, a welcome piece of information for growers in south central and southeast Wisconsin. The latest update from the Wisconsin Ag Statistical Service shows those 2 areas specifically are short on soil moisture. As of Sunday across the state, our corn was rated 76% good to excellent. Soybeans were rated 73% good to excellent. That's a quick update on what's happening in food news for a Tuesday. More available anytime at MidwestFarmReport.com. I'm Pam Yankee.
As Wisconsin is hitting the road on your Harley. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
On and off showers and storms again today, and some could be on the stronger side, producing some heavy rainfall rates and gusty winds. Highs today will scrape the low 80s and cool a little bit tomorrow to the upper 70s. And the rain continues to roll through the rest of this week. Stay dry. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 79.
Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Todd Michaels joins us now.
I have to give a shout out to Oshkosh. It's a very underrated city.
There was also a restaurant there I really liked. I don't think it's there anymore.
Yeah, the Tallies was great. I may have gone to like a prom dinner there or something like that
sweet.
Back in my day too, Pete.
A little calzone before you tear it up.
Better than wearing a tuxedo and a little calzone in your cummerbund. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba. Weeknights from 6 till 8 on your local
It wasn't this, was it? I know it wasn't, but do you like that?
No, but I kind of like that, actually. Yeah.
Something weird happened over the weekend.
We'll leave it at that.
Is that too close to James or not?
I don't think so.
All right. I actually like that color a lot.
All right. We got about 30 seconds.
Thank you. Now, past the hour, 2 o'clock on this Tuesday, June 24th. Zommers on the board. Spinning the tunes. Glad to have you here. Talk a little national news. Want to flip from Trump and the Middle East to closer to home. Here out at Washington, D.C., Congress. Been a lot of talk. I'm not sure. I don't think we've spent enough time on it, quite frankly. And it's time we do. The national recommendation, at least according to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., pardon me. RFK Jr. has now said that I believe starting late summer, early fall, that they're not going to recommend the COVID vaccine unless you're like over 65 years old. And certainly not to pregnant moms. And this has caused a lot of consternation. I've heard our own Dr. Kristen Lyerly, who has the great program on WISS in Oshkosh and WGBW in Green Bay every Saturday. You can listen to it for free by downloading the Civic Media app, the Dr. Lyerly Show, every weekend on Saturdays and Sundays. Dr. Lyerly has, and this is Todd terms, not exactly what Dr. Lyerly said, but as I interpret what she said, that by not offering or recommending the COVID vaccine to pregnant moms, that puts the babies at risk. That puts the infant mortality rate could go higher. And so here now, Senator Kelly of the great state of Illinois, our neighbor to the south. Senator Kelly had RFK Jr. on the stand, as they say, in a committee hearing and decided to question the secretary. That's how Tommy Thompson says secretary. The Secretary of Health and Human Services, RFK Jr., on COVID. This is how it's done.
What you said was wrong. We're not depriving anybody of choice. If a pregnant woman wants the COVID-19 vaccine, she can get it. We're no longer recommending it because there was no science supporting that recommendation. There's study after study that shows adverse events. One study, 27 adverse events during pregnancy from that campaign.
I'm going to interrupt you because I need to reclaim
Another
my time.
study shows an increase in miscarriage. There's no safety data for it, so we're not going to recommend
Not
it.
true.
We don't have safety
We have a
data.
pediatrician that is on this committee. Not true. I'll go back to, does HHS COVID-19 vaccine webpage reflect the department's viewpoint on COVID-19 vaccines? Please, yes or no?
I didn't understand the question. You're asking if
the HHS's COVID-19 vaccine webpage reflect the department's viewpoint on COVID-19 vaccines.
I imagine it does. I haven't seen the website.
You haven't seen HHS's COVID-19 vaccine?
No, I haven't read the entire
Well, it's kind of
website.
troubling that you're unaware of what your own department's website states on the safety and efficacy of the vaccination. Let me read it directly to you. COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective, and COVID-19 vaccines are available to everyone 6 months and older. Getting vaccinated is the best way to help protect people from COVID-19. Get vaccinated if you haven't. Chairman, I have the paper copy of the website to insert into the record.
There you go. Senator Kelly from Illinois holding Secretary RFK Jr.'s feet to the fire. Department of Health and Human Services apparently on the website still says no. Actually, pregnant moms should get the COVID vaccine.
Yeah, and his point of, well, I don't know the entirety of the website off the back of my hand, sure. But this is one of the most important and most contentious issues that he himself talks about constantly, or at least used to. You'd think he'd know what it says about this specific issue.
You would think. And the fact, the bottom line here is we're talking about the health and safety of American citizens, for goodness sakes. And it just shows that this guy, again, like many of the people, not all, but many of at least the higher ranking peoples in this version of the Trump administration in Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth, chief amongst them, are simply unqualified for the positions they hold. RFK Jr. is simply unqualified for the position he holds. And you say, well, some people are going to say, well, Todd, you're just picking on MAGA, on Republicans. No, I'm not. Why do I say that? Former four-time elected Republican governor of Wisconsin, Tommy George Thompson, was nominated by former President George W. Bush to be his Health and Human Services Secretary. Was confirmed by the Senate. I actually went out there with my former boss when Tommy was secretary. Got a tour of DHSS. Tommy's a guy who you might disagree with a lot of things. I certainly have called him out for his current iteration of supporting Trump. But in that iteration, circa 2001, 2002, he was working on not just vaccinations, but on keeping food safety secure, having first alerts for airborne attacks. When he was president of the UW system, he was lauded and copied by other universities around the country during COVID for his addressing the COVID pandemic throughout the University of Wisconsin system. He set up basically, it was a major testing clinic that wasn't just available for students, staff, and faculty of UW-Madison, but anybody in Madison could go there to get tested for free in real time. I went there a couple of different times. Like before I went and visited my mom for Thanksgiving, like the night before, I went and got tested on the campus at UW-Madison. That was, that idea was set up by Tommy Thompson. So this idea that well, you're not a real Republican or something if you're for vaccines, if you're for testing, if you think that COVID is real. This iteration of non-science, anti-science, anti-facts was put in place by Donald Trump and his acolytes. I may disagree with my former party, but if you have legit people in positions, that's one thing. But this guy, RFK Jr., has no business, or as we say back home, no business. He got no business being Health and Human Services Secretary. And that's dangerous. It's dangerous for the Department of Defense. It's dangerous for Department of Health and Human Services. It's dangerous for all of us. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. By the way, my informal assistant producer, Heather Gloy, on Facebook saying that, by the way, the Trump nomination for the Peace Prize was withdrawn today. Imagine that. Imagine that. Great information. Appreciate that. Let's go to the phone lines. Mark in the sack. Mark, thanks for calling. Let's see.
I don't know of many of the people that Trump has in his current cabinet that are actually qualified for their position. I mean, that Pete Hegseth, I'm surprised Hegseth hasn't offered his head to Donald Trump over the debacle of the trying to take out the Iranian nuclear facility without actually knowing what the actual results were going to be.
And not to interrupt, Mark, but to the point, in case people didn't hear earlier, according to exclusive reporting from CNN a few minutes ago, U.S. intelligence and military command are saying now it appears that the nuclear program of Iran was not taken out and only set back a few months. But go ahead.
And it's just ridiculous. I mean, like for the whole vaccine thing, I mean, vaccines have been around in the modern vaccines have been around for a long time. But for God's sakes, I think in the 17th century, the Chinese were working on a vaccine for smallpox. I mean, it is just ridiculous that the position you should be taking on vaccines, let's make sure that they're safe and effective. And the COVID vaccine has been safe and effective. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Kennedy was worried about mercury in the vaccines back in the day, and I thought that was the big bugaboo about them. But apparently, it's the vaccines themselves that they're concerned about. Vaccines have saved millions upon millions of lives, and now with, for example, us getting out of USAID, I mean, how many people are going to die in points around the globe now because we're not providing vaccines to people that to prevent preventable diseases?
Yeah.
I mean, it is just beyond me that these guys haven't all offered their resignations to Donald Trump the way they embarrass themselves, and by extension, embarrassing Donald Trump on a daily basis.
Yeah. Totally agree, Mark. Thank you so much for the call. Really, really appreciate it. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. If you want to weigh in on, I thought that Senator Kelly from Illinois did a great job. And that's how, and other people have done it as well. That's how you, in my opinion, get the truth across. Not by necessarily yelling, not by name calling, not by ginning things up, but just holding people to the fire and saying, here are the facts. I have a copy of your website, a screenshot. This is what it says. Why are you contradicting that? Now, even some hardcore MAGA folks are still not going to believe that. But I'm looking at more of people in Wisconsin that are the Evers Johnson voters. Those people in Wisconsin that voted for Tony Evers and Ron Johnson in that election. The people that voted for Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
Or Tammy Baldwin and Donald Trump.
What did I say?
You said Kamala Harris.
Oh,
and Donald
Jesus,
Trump.
sorry. Yeah, Tammy Baldwin and Donald Trump. Because those voters exist. We've seen that. We have the proof in the elections. And those are the people, those voters who are the swing voters of this state. I think when you do it the way that Senator Kelly of Illinois did it, that cuts through. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Gene in Eau Claire, listening to WCFW, The Tap. Gene, always a pleasure. What say you?
It's a pleasure, too. I just have to compliment you on your outstanding job that you did when this was breaking news, when the bombing occurred.
Well, thank you.
And I just thought you did an outstanding job. I was really impressed. I want to add a comment. I am so glad that I was not watching this particular hearing in response to RFK getting caught with his pants down, because I'm glad I didn't have to see the nauseating and indecent exposure of this man's inability to be in that position. But I just thought I'd give you a comment on that.
Thank you. And by the way, a shout out to our news director, Charlie Pittman, for helping us book some folks, and also to our great engineering team and all the people behind the scenes that help us do that special report over the weekend. I just get the privilege of being behind the microphone, but I could do none of that without the great team here at Civic Media. So really a shout out to each and every one of them as well. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Jim in Brookfield, quickly on WAUK. About a minute left, Jim. It's all yours.
All right, thank you. I just want to say, when RFK doesn't even know what's on his website, when Higgs Smith gets up and praises the president more than the troops and the individuals who actually planned it and carried out the attack, it's a blatant example of what has happened when loyalists are appointed as opposed to qualified individuals. Not even the most qualified, but the qualified individuals. You gave a great example, Tom, with Tommy Thompson. And I just want to say quickly about this Iran bombing. You know, Trump has to politicize everything. He told select Republicans about it in advance and Fox News in advance, no Democrats. I mean, come on, really?
Great call. Really great call, Jim. Thanks so much. Up against the clock. Come on back. Talk Tony Evers and why he says he will, in fact, veto the entire budget. Don't go anywhere. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Summer is on at Sugar River Pizza with 3 awesome locations in Sun Prairie, Verona, and New Glarus. Grab a seat on the gorgeous patio and enjoy the breathtaking view. Catch live music every Thursday evening at their Sun Prairie location and sip from 48 beers on tap or a glass of your favorite wine. Craving something amazing? The pizza and pasta are melt-in-your-mouth delicious. And yes, they cater. Make it a summer to savor, only at Sugar River Pizza. SugarRiverPizza.com. Sugar River Pizza and the John and Gordy Show have both been nominated for Madison Magazine's Best of Madison. Thanks for your vote. To celebrate, they're throwing Sugar River Pizza parties at workplaces around Madison all summer. If your workplace would like a Best of Madison pizza party with Sugar River Pizza and John and Gordy, get to WMDXradio.com and tell us why. If your office is selected, the party's on us.
Hey, vote for us and maybe we'll give you an extra slice of pizza.
Maybe. Or maybe a breadstick.
Vote for us.
Go to WMDXradio.com for all the details.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. For most states, redistricting is a once-a-decade event. For Ohio and Texas, redistricting may turn into an ongoing partisan battle as both states consider interim redistricting as the midterms approach. First to Ohio, where a state law requires voting district maps passed without bipartisan support to be redrawn after only 4 years. The 2020 maps ping-pong between a politician-led redistricting commission, the state Supreme Court, and the legislature. In 2024, voters unfortunately rejected a citizen-led redistricting commission ballot initiative after Ohio's ballot commission disingenuously suggested the ballot measure itself promoted gerrymandering. The Ohio Capitol Journal reports that the legislature set a deadline for the end of September and that pro-voter groups are already preparing alternative fair maps to contrast the likely highly partisan state-drawn maps. The Texas Tribune reports that the state's Republican congressional delegation met June 9th to discuss how to redistrict some of its 38 congressional districts before the midterms to help preserve GOP control of Congress. A 2024 study showed current maps gerrymandered an additional 5 seats for Republicans. June 23rd, Texas Governor Greg Abbott called a special session of the legislature.
Nick and Madison is calling to say it's pronounced nuclear.
Redistricting for now. We have state reporting linked at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org.
All right.
I'm Brian Beal.
A game without a crowd
It's
is
just the
a
way I
scrimmage.
say it.
A performance without an audience
Well, if I
is
said
just
Todd
a
Allbaugh,
rehearsal.
that's just because I say it that
Without
way.
your
You're wrong.
presence, high school sports
Well,
and
that's
the
a word.
performing arts aren't possible.
Okay, it's just not the
Ensure
way I
that these
say it.
essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Wisconsin.
All right, people watching
Purchase
the
a
street.
ticket to your local high school's
Do I say
game or
nuclear
performance.
wrong?
This message presented by the
And if I do, does it bother
WIAA
you?
and the Wisconsin Athletic Directors
You can be
Association.
honest. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 8 minutes now before the top of the hour at 3 o'clock. Gonna have ABC, CBS, or James Kelly news for you, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to, followed by a check of weather with Brittany Merlot and a great meteorology team. Looks like some more rain in the forecast. Heavy rains for parts of Wisconsin over the next 24 to 48 hours. Things will begin to dry off over the weekend. And then nicer conditions for the start of your 4th of July week. Can you believe that, Sommers? Already next week, 4th of July.
Wow, you're right.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It always goes so fast.
Yeah, always goes very, very fast indeed. And then hour 2, we are going to have what's worse for you today, a soft serve versus frozen custard edition. And at the bottom next hour, Alex Mordorsky. Try that again, Todd. Alex Mordorsky. Is that right?
Mordorsky, yes.
Mordorsky. See, Alex Mordorsky is going to be here talking about, he's from the Nature Conservancy, going to be here in studio, I understand, talking more of the Nelson Knowles Stewardship Program being held up on the state budget. I'm stumbling over his words now because people have been calling in, lighting up the phone lines that Todd says nuclear wrong. That I'm a George W. Bush.
Nuclear.
That's what I say, nuclear.
That's not, no. You said nuclear. This is nuclear.
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 No,
nuclear. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the
nuclear.
word colloquialism? Colloquialism. It means people say things, pronounce things differently depending upon what part of the state or the country that you're in. Now here, our unofficial assistant producer of the show, Heather, says you are fine. People that get bent out of shape can take a hike if they want to be mean to someone who has overcome a speech impediment that tells you a lot. Just saying. Wow.
That's why, despite the fact that my dad works at a nuclear power plant, and you've said the word, before, I don't usually say anything about it because, people say words differently. Everyone knows what you mean.
I mean, you could go after George W. Bush for a lot of things, but I think going after him for the way he pronounced nuclear is a pretty small thing. I don't know. That's just me. But if it bothers you, let me know. We'll try to do better. 5 minutes before the hour of, so we're in hour 2. So we got Alex going to be here at the Nature Conservancy. This will be fun. He's always great. We enjoy having him here. I spilled a little bit of coffee. Everything's fine. Don't worry. Anyway, let's talk a little news at the state level from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Hope Carnap and Jesse Apoyan. Headline, Governor Tony Evers says he won't sign a state budget that doesn't extend child care counts payments. Zommer's doing cleanup in aisle 2, by the way. Thank you, Zommers. You're fantastic. Pewaukee, Dateline, Pewaukee, Democratic Governor Tony Evers drew a line as Republicans continue infighting over the state budget. He won't sign the 2-year spending plan if it doesn't include continued payments to child care providers, a program known as Child Care Counts. Evers hinted that the program was part of negotiations over the state budget, though Republicans have pitched alternatives they argue would be more directly helpful with parents with high costs. Work on the state budgets ground to a halt last week, and Evers urged Republicans to, quote, get their act together and come back and let's finish up, unquote. He went on to say, quote, it's necessary for people to understand, Republicans especially, how important this is for the state of Wisconsin, unquote. Evers said of continuing payments to child care providers, quote, it's going to hurt not only kids, but our economy, unquote. Governor is absolutely right about that, in my opinion. The governor made the comment to reporters yesterday after touring Bright Horizons in beautiful Pewaukee, home of the Watt brothers, J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt, Derek Watt. Pewaukee doesn't talk enough about the Watt brothers, by the way. I think they could be doing more for their tourism. The home of, they should put big signs, home of the Watt brothers. I would. Anyway, governor was there at Bright Horizons in Pewaukee after stopping at another child care center in Eau Claire earlier in the day. Now, at times, I can be a little tough on the governor and his team, but this props. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly, in my opinion, what Governor Evers should be doing. He's going out, he's meeting the people, he's talking with local press, and he's taking a stand. And I think he's calling, to some degree, the Republican bluff. Because they've been saying, well, you know, we might not pass a budget if Governor Evers doesn't do what we want. It seems to be working. Great reporter A.J. Byaport from CBS 58 Milwaukee posted this today, said, here's a couple of quotes from Assembly GOP leaders in Madison talking about the budget. Quote, if people are ready to work, we'll get things done. If everybody wants to be at the table. Unquote. Speaker Voss, according to Byaport, says he's talked to Governor Evers this morning, the clear message that key Senate Republicans remain the holdup. This is consistent with what we heard from Democratic State Senator Kelda Royce yesterday on this show, that there's infighting right now amongst Republicans in the state capitol, a block away from where I sit. That they're not on the same page. Robin Voss and the Assembly Republicans appear to move forward, have the votes. But Devin LeMahieu, the senator, the Senate Majority Leader, does not have his ducks in a row, as we say in politics. The reason might be, in part, with the new maps that are now in effect, Republicans are going to have a fight to hang on to the Senate. And one of the most vulnerable Republicans is Howard Markline of the 17th Senate District, who just happens to be the co-chair of the Joint Finance Committee.
Howie?
He's feeling the heat. Come on back. Hour 2 is straight ahead. Not going to want to miss it. What's Worse is next on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Nuclear.
92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news.
I don't know. I ain't going to try that hard.
No, that's totally fair. I just thought it would be funny to play it one more time.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In the Netherlands, President Trump arriving at the palace for a NATO summit photo with world leaders. Earlier on Air Force One, the president warning Iran and Israel to hold to the ceasefire deal and says he does not want to force regime change in Iran.
If there was, but no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos, and ideally we don't want to see so much chaos, so we'll see how it does.
The president is also expected to meet with Ukraine's President Zelensky on the sidelines of the NATO summit. Russia carried out fresh strikes in April,
I'm pretty sure.
hitting a civilian train and
It
killing
says
at
it's
least
Americollect,
16.
but I
Severe
am
heat
pretty
leading to
sure I don't have
record-breaking
anything in
temperatures
collections.
in the Northeast,
I'm sure it's
Philadelphia.
Well, I'm not
hitting
sure,
100
but my
degrees and
guess
climbing.
is
Amtrak also
I am
issuing
fairly certain.
temperature-related speed restrictions on trains in the Northeast corridor. It
This is
comes
great.
after
David New
Amtrak
Berlin,
train
God love
became
you.
stuck
Let's start
yesterday.
a Todd
Oil
from
prices
Richland
falling
Center
again
fan
due to the
club. I'm
ceasefire
all
between
for it.
Israel and Iran.
The
This is
RC.
ABC News.
As Wisconsin is cheering on Bucky Badger. This is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Yeah, I like that color blue, Robert. It's a strong steel blue.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Thousands lost power
I
and
will
local
talk
business
to
even
Tony
lost
and
part
see
of
if
its
we
roof
have
in
a
last night's
specific,
storms.
or I guess I
The
can
thunder
just
was loud and
steal
it
it from the
just kept
logo
coming.
or something.
It was
See
one
if
of
there's a
our wettest
specific
days
like
in June
hex
ever
code we're
here in
supposed to use that might
Madison.
be
At one
slightly
point,
PMS,
different.
as they say?
2,500 Madison
A
gas and
PMS
electric
color?
customers lost
And
power.
no, it does not
By this
stand for what
morning,
you
only
think it
about
might.
500
PMS
were
is a
still in
real
dark.
thing.
Meanwhile,
If
for
that's
people
how
who
they-
rely on
that's their
Alliant,
PMS
there were
color numbers.
6,700
I guess I was
customers
thinking
without
like
power
hex
last
codes
night.
or whatever.
By lunchtime, there were only
they're
about
different
1,000 still waiting
ways
for the
to get
lights to come
colors.
back on. Over on Madison's east side, part of the roof fell in at the Woodmans on Milwaukee Street. Firefighters described, quote, water pouring into the building.
Better
end
prices,
quote.
better
Woodman
service.
staff say nobody was hurt
Because
when the
we're
roof fell in. It was during
employee-owned.
that
Oh, I
really
thought you were gonna
heavy
say Papa
downpour
John's.
at about 9 o'clock
No,
last night. The Milwaukee Street
saw
location
the,
is closed until further notice as staff
like
work
right
with
after it
engineers and
happened, I saw the
architects to make it all
pictures,
safe again. Now, if that's your normal grocery
that somebody
store,
took who
Woodman's
was
has removed
just
the
walked
fees
through
for
that
online
part of
grocery
Woodman's
services
East,
at
and then the
other
ceiling
two
collapsed
Woodmans
behind
in
them,
town
and they
on
were
the
like,
west side
at least nobody else was right there.
Meanwhile, the Wisconsin Supreme Court has sided with
And they said, kudos to the
environmentalists when it
Woodman
comes to
staff
so-called
for
forever
organizing
chemicals.
a very
The state's
efficient
biggest
and
business group, Wisconsin
safe
Manufacturers
evacuation.
and Commerce, brought a lawsuit. They claim state
David New Berlin
regulators
says,
do
I
not
still
have
review
the
your
power
opening
to
monologue
force
from April
businesses
Fool's
to
Day.
clean up
Great
PFAS
stuff. You had me fooled and disappointed
PFAS chemicals
until.
are used in products for non-stick
That's
and
fantastic.
waterproofing qualities, but they're near impossible to get out of the body and the environment.
Oh, thank you,
Conservative
Heather. She's gonna
Justice Brian
co-chair the
Hagedorn
fan club.
sided with the liberal judges.
Todd
And filed the Department of Natural Resources does have the authority to require businesses to do their best to clean up PFAS contamination, even though
Taking on all comers that don't like the way I say nuclear. Your snowflakes, your softies, coming at you with half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. I love doing that. I absolutely love doing that.
Todd Allbaugh, pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right.
Losing 6 of their last 8 games.
The
I
bullpen
love
coming
every part of
in behind each other. We get up 3-0. They score 2. We score 2. They tie it. I mean, just back and forth on the road against, good Brewers team, and everybody contributed, stepped up. It was a great team win.
Brewers manager Pat Murphy after the loss.
Yeah, unusual game, huh? How unusual was that? Every little ball's fouled by an inch, and Durbin steals the base and then overslides. It's one of those days.
Basketball, the
Infiltrated
NBA draft
the
is tomorrow
woke den
night.
of
The Bucks have
indoctrination.
just one pick in the second
Not the
round.
UW
With
system.
Sports,
The other
I'm
one.
Mike Clemens.
This report is brought to you by Freedom Fireworks, with 20 locations throughout southeastern Wisconsin. FreedomFireworksWI.com.
Badorsky, right?
Showers
Alex
and
Badorsky.
storms again today, and some could be on the stronger side, producing some heavy rainfall rates and gusty winds. Highs today will scrape the low 80s and cool a little bit tomorrow to the upper 70s. And the rain continues to roll through the rest of this week.
What's going on outside? I hear someone yelling.
I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 79.
Nothing I can see.
The 4th of July is right around the corner, and Freedom Fireworks has everything your family needs for a safe and exciting holiday celebration. With 20 southeastern Wisconsin locations fully stocked up with everything from sparklers to artillery shells, thunder snaps to 500-gram aerials, Freedom Fireworks guarantees to bring smiles and cheers to every backyard celebration. For fireworks from all the top brands and specials that can't be beat, go to freedomfireworkswi.com for a location near you. Freedom Fireworks wishes you a safe and happy 4th of July.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Indy Duttagupta, he is with the Center for Law, Social Policy.
The Trump administration's agenda is reducing economic growth. The programs that they're proposing cutting, like Medicaid and SNAP, especially for kids, actually more than pay for themselves. So we are really looking at a tough long-term economic outlook entirely created by the current policymakers.
The award-winning Maggie Dawn Show at its new time, weekdays 4 till 6 p.m.
Thank you.
From the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with Mr. Aaron Zummers, our producer and engineer on the board. It's 6 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program, Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. Glad to be with you from the headquarters in downtown Madison, as Terry Barr so wonderfully introduces us every day. Thank you, Terry. High clouds, I'd say. High clouds right now in downtown Madison. Sun trying to peek through. Looks like some more rain for parts of Wisconsin later on this afternoon into tonight and tomorrow. Then finally this weekend, going to start to dry out a little bit. By the way, tomorrow is the first of the concerts on the square in Madison. So a little nervous about that for people coming down. If you haven't been here before, it's worth it. I mean, it can get a little congested on concert on the square evenings, but it's worth it. Come down. You can bring whatever food you want. You can put your own blanket out on the Capitol lawn starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to reserve your spot. And then you come down and enjoy a lovely concert by I think it's the Wisconsin Symphony Orchestra. And it's a great time. It's a good time had by all.
I'm going to have to look up what they're playing tomorrow.
Ken Lewis once said. Yeah, you can look that up. But concerts in the square is supposed to kick off tomorrow. We'll see if next week looks perfect. Sunny skies and 80 degrees. Coming up this hour, at the bottom of the hour, Alex Modorsky will be here for the Nature Conservancy talking about the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund. He's been on the show before. Got to get an update from him because this is a program, whether you're, I think, and this is just stigma and stereotypes, but people who like the outdoors kind of get categorized into one side or the other, which I think is unfortunate because there are a lot of people like me who enjoy both sides of this issue. I don't want to say it's an issue. I really enjoy just going hiking and taking in nature. I find it very therapeutic, camping. I don't do as much as I used to, but I also enjoy bird hunting, in particular, pheasant and turkey. I know you go bear hunting.
Or I have, at least.
You certainly have in the past. So I don't think I don't think it should be categorized as, well, you're either a hunter or a fisher, or else, you're a bird watcher or a butterfly enthusiast. I mean, people try to put people in categories like that. And here's the bottom line. It doesn't matter how you enjoy nature. If you don't protect it, if you don't have conservation programs, ain't nobody, as Jim Harbaugh likes to say, ain't nobody going to enjoy it. So Alex Modorsky will be here talking about the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund, a great bipartisan cause historically in this state, But again, if a budget doesn't get signed by the governor or doesn't get passed by the legislature, this could put a lot of the Nelson Stewardship Fund projects in jeopardy. So he'll be here at the bottom of the hour for that. And our old friend Pete Schwaba, the Schwabinator, going to be here calling in at 3:50, talking about what's coming up on his great show, because he is doing his show right here from the world headquarters tonight.
Right in your very spot. You're just keeping the chair warm for him.
I'm literally keeping the chair warm for Pete Schwaba later on tonight. And I was very nervous, or not nervous, I was very jealous because I heard now, I didn't get a chance to listen to the show last night, but I heard that he had dancers on the show. That there were, I found some glitter on the floor when I came in, and I thought, well, what's going on there?
Must have been after I left last night. I was there for the first hour, but
that may or may not have been true. But we'll talk to Pete Schwaba about that and what's coming up on his fine program as well. Right now, it's 10 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that.
Time once again for What's Worse. No prize money involved, nothing to give away, but it is your chance to have your voice heard across all 11 news, talk, sports stations on the Civic Media Radio Network. No better place to have your business advertised than right here on Civic Media. Give us a shout out. Get in contact by going to civicmedia.us. And our sales department would be happy to work with you. Would love to have you be a sponsor or partner. Speaking of sports, Brewers, as you heard there from Clemens over the break, Brewers had the loss last night. Manager Pat Murphy talked, weird game, weird and wacky stuff, as Johnny Carson used to say. Brewers took a loss to the Pirates, going to try again tonight. But now tomorrow, the Brewers are playing the Pirates again, and The Miz, the new rookie phenom pitcher for the Brewers, is pitching tomorrow. The Miz. And so I thought, well, what are the chances of maybe a couple of the Civic Media boxes seats or the club level seats are available. So I last night, before Luke Mathers went off on his Caribbean luxurious vacation, I texted him and I said, "Are you still in town? Yeah. What do you need?" I said, "Any chance there's a couple of tickets for the game on Wednesday where the Miz is and the Pirates pitcher is fantastic. It's going to be an all-time pitching duel. You understand?" And Luke texted back and said, "Yeah, but the game is during your show." It's an afternoon game. And I said, well, I suppose that's on the liner sheet here in the booth, but I just didn't look at it. But wouldn't that have been something? Maybe it would. How fun would that be? People would not enjoy it. I mean, the people here, the 12th floor, wouldn't enjoy it. But how fun would that be to broadcast the game from the club box seats on my phone?
That would be pretty cool until we get in legal trouble for doing so, because I guarantee we would not be allowed to do that.
I wouldn't be calling the game, you understand?
I feel like they still wouldn't like that.
I'd be doing our normal show, but just from the seats. I wouldn't comment on the game. I would just say, well, that was interesting. No, everybody's, the phone lines are like, just settle down. Just joking around, for goodness sakes. Not like I mispronounced nuclear. All right, category today. From our great writers, the category, What's Worse, and timely indeed in this heat streak that we're in right now, this heat wave. What's worse, soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? Soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us on the Civic Media app. If you don't have it, download it today. You're going to need it Friday. We're going to give away on Friday 4 more of those club level seats for a future Brewers game, but you can't play if you don't have the Civic Media app. Go to your Apple or Android device today. Go to the search bar, type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C, Media. Takes less than a minute. It's free. It's what Gail King at CBS calls a deal, the Civic Media app. What's worse, soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Robert, listening in McFarland. By the way, Robert is ready to start the Richland Center fan club. I'm all for it. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Robert, listening on WMDX here in Madison, says soft serve is the diet of ice cream. That stuff is crap. Very strong opinion out of the gate. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Or text us on the app. What's worse, soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? Steve in Lodi on WMDX comes right back. Frozen custard is worse. Wow. All right. 855-752-4842. Dave in New Berlin says soft serve ice cream is worse. It melts faster. Oh, that's very interesting. That's an interesting take.
You know, I will say, in defense of soft serve, when it used to be really cheap from McDonald's, back in my day, when I was younger, we'd go to the library and then walk across the street to McDonald's, bring a couple quarters and get ice cream. And soft serve, when you could get it with pocket change, was very nice. You got your brand new books to read, you eat your ice cream, and then make sure to wash your hands in between before you read.
Right. I do think, I'm going to give my opinion here in a little bit, but I do think there are different levels of soft serve.
Oh, yeah.
It depends.
Some of it tastes watery.
Yeah. Or crystally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
What's worse, soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Dave in New Berlin. Oh, we read that one. It says melts faster. Yeah, for me, there's a pretty clear winner. Heather in Eau Claire, listening or watching on Facebook, says soft serve is more watery, melts faster. But custard is worse? What?
Can you elaborate? Why do you think custard is worse?
Does she really think that? That custard is worse? I'm rather shocked, to be honest with you.
I can understand people thinking custard is worse. For example, custard makes my sisters cough. Something about it.
Cough?
Yeah. Like, if they eat ice cream, they're fine. But if they eat custard, they start coughing.
No way.
No, I'm not making that up. I'm serious. I'm not joking around here.
Our old friend Rob down in beautiful Monroe, Wisconsin in Greene County, listening on WMDX, says soft serve is worse, except that frozen custard is worse for my girlish figure. Well, I'm right there with you, my friend. I understand that. Jim in Brookfield says soft serve always seems to taste like it came from a machine. Well, it did.
It has to.
The multiple flavors of custard cannot be beat. Thank you, Jim in Brookfield. Jill in Madison on WMDX, maybe the best response, says that's an unfair question. They are not even remotely the same thing, and I love them both.
I agree 100%, Jill.
All right, that's good, Jill. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. What's worse, soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? Heather on Facebook elaborates on her earlier shocking take, saying that soft serve's more watery because it melts faster, but she says custard's worse. She says, I can only eat a small amount of custard or my stomach is not happy. Maybe too much dairy / custard. I don't know. All right. Well, that's fair, I guess. But I mean, I gotta say, Culver's custard does not affect my stomach in a bad way. My waistline maybe, but not my stomach. And I know there are listeners down in Milwaukee. There are local custard places in Milwaukee, southeast Wisconsin, that a lot of big fans down there. I will say that there is something to be said for the old Dairy Queen dipped cone, where they would dip it like in strawberry
Those
or
are very good.
Butterscotch or chocolate. And they're murder for parents because the kids get them, and because as soon as they're dipped, it starts melting underneath that hard shell, and it's just messy as all get out, and it's terrible for parents and small kids.
But they were so good.
But they're so good. Also, a dilly bar.
You gotta love the dilly bars. What's the best dilly bar flavor though?
We once had chocolate, in my opinion, chocolate and vanilla ice cream. We once had a local elected candidate in Richland County. Her name was Lorna Dilly. Serious. And she gave out at the fair for her campaign Dilly bars for Lauren and Dilly. And she won. She won.
It works.
We'll come back. Zombers I will tell you what's worse, at least in terms of our take on it. Don't go anywhere. Soft serve or frozen custard. It's the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Madison's Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7 WMDX.
Cool off the summer at Frosty's, West Madison small batch ice cream shop. Enjoy rich, handcrafted flavors and soak up the sun on the outdoor patio. And if you mention you heard this on the radio, get 5% off. Frosty's, 702 South Gammon Road.
When you're having computer problems, you need a company you trust to get things working again, quickly and affordably. Madison Computer Works has been doing that for business and residential customers for decades. Our computer care plans take away the hassle of being without your computer or needing to bring it in for repair. Starting at only $10 a month, our local and friendly techs provide remote help and can fix most problems in just minutes. Call 608-231-8000 and sign up today. Madison Computer Works, computers that work for you.
Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3 Landscaping. With 15 years of top quality service, they treat your property like their own. 608-209-2185 for expert care and a vibrant tomorrow.
Heather, also a big fan of Dairy Queen soft serve.
Service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me
there's
to
the
be
cherry.
more for the community.
Oh,
I
yes,
call
the
home.
cherry.
My
The
training helps me at work when I lead by
Misty
example.
Float.
My service
What's
in
that?
the
What
Army
is it
National
called?
Guard allows me to keep my
Mr.
community
Misty
and
Cherry
those I
Float.
care about safe from threats. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm Tony Goldwyn. As an actor and a director, I attend a lot of screenings. But there's one that's different. It's important, and it could save your life. A lung cancer screening. You know, I lost my mom to lung cancer when she was just 68 years old. Screenings help diagnose lung cancer early when it's most treatable, even curable. A quick low-dose CT scan is all it takes.
Dakota shoot arrows stuck in?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what that is. Oh, I get it. Yeah, we're not going there.
Oh, okay. I get it too. Yep. All right. I had to reread the beginning.
Civic Media Radio Network, 22 now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Glad to have you along. It's Tuesday, June 24th. Zombers on the board. What was that song?
It's a Custard Pie by your favorite band, Led Zeppelin.
There's a song called Custard Pie?
There sure is.
All right.
It is a very thinly veiled metaphor. And we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. All right. What's worse, soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. That is the what's worse category today. Lots of opinions on this. I love each and every one, and appropriate as we are in this heat wave. Hopefully on the back end of it here. My sister Heather's been texting in. I'm surprised. Thing is, you didn't know about your sister, who you've known, all your life. Turns out she prefers soft serve over custard because too much custard upsets her stomach. And she says, now we talked about Dairy Queen. And those dipped cones.
They're so good.
She says, yes, Dairy Queen soft serve is the best. She says, now I want to get a cherry frosty float. Remember those? Yum. I said, yes, the Mr. Misty float. Now, you have to be careful if you order one of these because a lot of the young kids behind the counter, they don't get it. And you don't want the where they swirl it all together. The Mr. Misty, it's like, what do you call it? The slushy. It's like a version of the slushy. And you get the cherry one, but you make sure you tell them you want the float. So basically it's just cherry Mr. Misty slush, and then they put like a big scoop, or whatever they call it, plop of vanilla Dairy Queen soft, and it's fantastic. A Mr. Misty float, that's what you want to go to if you're a DQ person. Megan watching on YouTube says, yes, the Misty Float is one of the best from DQ. What's worse, soft serve ice cream or frozen custard? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. AJ in Madison on WMDX says, not even a question. Custard is better. And it's like comparing mac and cheese to Alfredo. Really? Well,
I think
that's kind of, I don't know. That's pretty close for me as well.
I agree with that. And yeah, so I do think custard is better. I do think soft serve is worse. However, sometimes you do want mac and cheese instead of Alfredo, you know?
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't.
But for me, yeah, soft serve is easy to get wrong if the machine's messed up. Also, they seem to break all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas with custard, I love mix-ins in my ice cream, like brownie pieces, like caramel, chocolate, all that good stuff. And that doesn't work with soft serve nearly as well.
Robert, listening in McFarland on WMDX, says, if the food ain't local, I don't buy it. So custard is where it's at. Very good. Miss Linda, checking in from the RC, says, looking up the ingredients of both, custard has egg yolks. It's more natural. Soft serve has non-dairy products. That is true.
Well, yeah,
I mean, a soft serve really isn't technically ice cream.
Yes, for those of you who do not know.
It's like Cool Whip.
The way custard works is you have ice cream and you add egg yolks, and it makes it thicker. That's a oversimplification, but that's basically
custard.
what it is.
A custard has to have egg yolk.
Yeah.
In it.
Meanwhile, soft serve is an ice cream liquid mixture that is kept at freezing temperatures, but constantly stirred so it never totally freezes.
There you go.
And so if the machine's messed up, you get the crystals or it's liquid.
Look, I enjoy both. I mean, both have their place. I'm not going to lie about that. But for my money, you cannot beat Culver's custard. It is just a staple in Wisconsin. It's as Miss Linda points out, it's all natural. Craig Culver, he knows where to get his local ingredients. He's got Wisconsin chickens. You don't know this about Craig, but if you go up to Sauk Prairie along the Wisconsin River there, behind the beautiful headquarters of Culver's, is a huge chicken coop where they have all their free ranging chickens. There's a coop where they sleep at night to protect them from the eagles, because lots of eagles in Sauk Prairie that can come down and eat the Culver's chickens. You don't want that. So they go in there and sleep at night, but during the day, they're free ranging up there in Sauk Prairie, and then they gather the eggs, and that's how they make all the Culver's custard.
I was expecting that this was an elaborate setup for some kind of pun about, I don't know, something with chickens.
No, but the point is, Culver's does it right. They do. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm just saying, in my opinion, they do it right. And I was coming back from RC this weekend on Sunday. It was hot as Hades, and I pulled over in Spring Green and got myself a Culver's mini concrete mixer with Butterfinger. That's one of my favorite ones. Cam in Appleton says, Todd, that sounds like an Irish tale. Maybe a little bit. Tom, listening in Jackson, says, oh, there you go. Leon's vanilla custard is the best. So,
or Cops.
I know that Leon's and Cops down there in Milwaukee, lots of people really, really love that. Terry, also listening on AUK. Leon's custard is the best I've ever eaten. It is in Milwaukee. I have to say, yes, I have eaten Leon. It's great stuff as well.
The nice thing is that Culver's, you don't have to be in Milwaukie.
Right. It's
a good substitute for the best thing.
But hey, I think any Wisconsin-based Culver's, any Wisconsin-based custard is better.
What can I say? We know how to do dairy right.
We know how to do dairy right. Absolutely. All right, there's another great edition of What's Worse. That was a good one. I had a lot of people getting in on that one.
And some controversy.
People have strong feelings, as it turns out. Also, strong feelings about conservation in the state of Wisconsin. The Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund. Do you enjoy the outdoors, like Todd? Yes, I'm talking about myself in the third person. Do you like the outdoors? Yeah, absolutely, I love the outdoors. Alex Madorsky is going to be in for the Nature Conservancy here after the break. Going to talk a little bit about the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund and why this impasse, a block up the street here at the Capitol between Governor Evers and Republicans on the Joint Finance Committee and in the legislature at large. why this may endanger the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund. So coming back, we'll talk a little bit about that. And then at 3:50, our old friend Pete Schwaminator is going to be in talking nightlife. What's coming up on his great program tonight? Not going to miss it. Stick around. News update is next. It's the Allbaugh Show at Civic Media and the Civic Media Radio Network.
Great conversation, 92.7 WMDX. As Wisconsin has a fish fry on a Friday night, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Our text line has been active over the last week with talk of heat and precipitation. As we look to the skies, the weather predictions for the upcoming weeks looks as though it will provide optimal growing conditions for crops. I'm Kylie Allen with the Midwest Farm Report, and today we caught up with John Heinberg. He's the market advisor for Total Farm Marketing out of West Bend. He breaks down what the forecast means for crop production and how the markets might respond.
Crop conditions are good. Forecasts are good. You go look at the longer range forecast right now, and we're looking like some pretty decent weather after we get through this little spell that we've been dealing with. 70s and 80s, normal rainfall. That's nothing that's concerning the market in terms of crop production. Corn market continues to just be heavily pressured. Again, just a feeling that we have got a monster crop of corn coming. We got a big Brazil crop out there. It just feels like the industry doesn't need supplies right now.
John Heinberg along with us. He's the market advisor at Total Farm Marketing. If you'd like to join the conversation, let us know what's going on in your area by texting 877-301-FARM. That's 877-301-3276. Stick around. We've got a look at your closing dairy markets next.
The future of phosphorus fertilizers is Rhizazorb. Craig Dick, VP of Sales and Marketing for Phosphollutions, explains.
Rhizazorb 8390 is a next-generation dry phosphate fertilizer that replaces MAP or DAP. Rhizazorb technology is incorporated into traditional phosphate manufacturing, resulting in a finished granule that enhances phosphorus uptake, reduces phosphorus use rates, and maintains crop yield.
Preserve yield, optimize phosphorus, and reduce costs with Rhizazorb.
I tell people to kind of eat the microphones that get this close. So
there goes Pam Yankee across Wisconsin in her suburban truck. Thanks to Equity
Look how absolutely ridiculous that looks on camera. We have a stack of books.
Yeah.
I do the same thing when COVID hit. I do the same thing with my laptop. I didn't know about, fancy things like adjustable desks at that point in my life.
Yeah, when I was in college remotely during COVID, I had a stack of books that my monitor was on and a stack of books for my camera next to it. So it always looked like I wasn't making eye contact with people or whatever. And
this week is how the U.S.
it was a
is
mess.
facing trade hurdles over cheese names.
Oh, they're
U.S.
good-looking
dairy
books, at
organizations are frustrated with the European Union not allowing names like Feta and Asiago, for example.
I might swing by.
It's Milton Berle. So if the show gets boring, we could just go right to the
Right,
joke book.
just read some Milton Berle jokes and we'll be set for the afternoon.
Do you have any song requests?
August
or artists or
trading
anything?
down 18 cents at 17.79 hundredweight. 40 pound
I don't
block
have
cheese
any. I
closed
was
at
digging the
159.5,
George Michael you
down
played last
5.5
time.
cents.
As soon as I heard
Double
that,
A
I
butter
thought,
closed at
this guy
253.5,
means business.
up
He has
1
excellent
cent.
taste in music.
For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Kylie Allen.
As Wisconsin has a game of cribbage with good friends, this is the Civic Media Radio Network.
On and off showers and storms again today, and some could be on the stronger side, producing some heavy rainfall rates and gusty winds. Highs today will scrape the low 80s and cool a little bit tomorrow to the upper 70s. And the rain continues to roll through the rest of this week. Stay dry. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. It's 80 degrees at our studios.
The John and Gordy Show.
I've got a Prius.
Yeah.
I hated Prius drivers.
But then you became one.
And then, I was looking for a used car and I found a Prius.
Wow.
Give Prius owners
a
good name. I'm going to change the impression people have of Prius drivers.
Really? That was your mantra?
By cutting people off, driving fast as hell through their neighborhoods.
Prius.
Weekday mornings 6 till 8 on 92.7 WMDX and the Civic Media app. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba.
Todd Michaels joins us now.
I have to give a shout out to Oshkosh. It's a very underrated city.
There was also a restaurant there I really liked. I don't think it's there anymore.
Yeah, the Tallies was great. I may have gone to like a prom dinner there or
Back
something
around
like that.
30
back in
seconds.
my day,
Thank
too.
you so very much. Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along. 35 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on this Tuesday edition of the show. June 24th, 2025. Coming up before the end of the show, Pete Schwaba, our great friend and colleague, host of Nightlight, will be telling us what's coming up on his program tonight, originating right from this very studio in which I am in this very seat of which I am in. But right now, pleased to have with me in the seat next to me in studio. Always love it when that happens. From the Nature Conservancy, Alex Modorsky is here. Alex, thanks very much for being back on the program.
Thank you so much for having me back.
It's a lot of fun. I love talking about conservation and what you folks do at the Nature Conservancy. Although I wish it wasn't under these circumstances. We talked a while back about the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund as it makes its way trying to get more funding through the Joint Finance Committee and the state legislature. Like a lot of programs, running into a few roadblocks. We'll get to that in a minute, but perhaps for people who hadn't heard the show last time you were here, tell us a little bit about the Nature Conservancy.
So the Nature Conservancy is the world's largest environmental organization. We're in 79 countries and all 50 states. And we work to protect land, water, and all the precious species that live on those lands.
And it's not just a Wisconsin. You're basically, I'll call it a Wisconsin chapter. Is that fair to say?
That's right. We're a Wisconsin chapter. We've been open since 1959. And thanks in part to the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program we're going to discuss, we've helped protect over 240,000 acres of prime hunting, fishing, outdoor recreation, sustainable forestry lands in this state.
That's incredible. And again, for people that might not be aware and haven't heard of it, I think most people probably have the benefit of it. But tell folks, explain to people, if you could be so kind, the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund. What is it and how did it start?
So the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund is named in honor of two great Wisconsin statesmen. Warren Knowles, a Republican governor who started the state's very first land conservation program in the 60s, as well as former Governor and Senator Gaylord Nelson, who is known around the world as the founder of Earth Day. These were two great Wisconsin conservation leaders, and this public-private matching grant program was started in 1989 with huge bipartisan support to try to protect Wisconsin's outdoor heritage and grow it into the future.
Yeah, that's a marvelous explanation of it, and you hit on a lot of key points. I just want to kind of unpack here for people, because I think to me, this is a crown jewel of Wisconsin, and to me, this is the template that I wish more pieces of legislation would follow. Number one, because I know there's a lot of people that get salty over, something's a complete government program. You said it's a public-private partnership here. Explain a little bit more about that, please.
That's right. So the Nature Conservancy and other nonprofit organizations who benefit from these programs, as well as cities and counties, we don't just knock on the door of state government and say, hey, we're great guys, why don't you give us a check? What we do is go through a rigorous application process. We bring usually half the money or more to the table and say, here's why we think this is a great investment for the people of Wisconsin. And after we go through that process, if there's agreement, then we go ahead and get that project protected for the people of this state.
I think this is marvelous because you're getting people to literally invest in conservation efforts across the state. Could be private contributors, it could be businesses, but they're saying this is important to us. And they put up a large amount of money, and then it's like, oh, hey, let's have some state matching funds to go along with this. The other part, Warren Knowles, a longtime Republican governor, certainly different than the current iteration of my former party right now, but I would say much more of a traditional Republican. We've had Tia Nelson, the daughter of Governor Gaylord Nelson, on this show a couple of different times, and talking with passion about what her dad did, U.S. Senator, as you said, former U.S. Senator and governor, to be the founder of Earth Day. But then it was a Republican governor in Tommy Thompson who signed this legislation into law in 1989 as the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program. It's a great example of what can get done when people don't look at party monikers and just say what's best for the people of the state.
That's absolutely right. And as challenging as it seems to me and to everybody who's listening right now, this program, which has 93% support.
Wow.
Across party lines, across regional lines, is a perfect example of a way we can try to get back to that place when Republicans and Democrats would actually talk to one another and work with one another on the things that make Wisconsin great, like our great natural resources.
And I know you've given us before last time you were here, but just remind people a couple of projects that they might use a lot, but they're like, oh, I didn't know that's how that came about. Give us a couple examples, if you could, please, about projects you all have been involved with.
Sure. So we have some traditional legacy projects, we like to call them, that we continue to work on in the Baraboo Hills, for example, closer to home here, where we protect lots of beautiful land, the kind of wetlands that help mitigate the floods we're increasingly seeing all over the state of Wisconsin. We do preserve a lot of lands up north, but one thing I like to point out to people is a huge percentage of Wisconsinites live within a few miles of Knowles Nelson stewardship projects. That's one of the first things I do when I talk to new legislators. I let them know, hey, a lot of people think we're just talking about land up north when I talk about the Knowles Nelson stewardship program, but there's every chance that a bike path in your neighborhood was funded with Knowles Nelson stewardship dollars.
I think that's so important because I said that in the first hour, kind of plugging this segment, that I think it's so unfortunate that whatever word you want to use, whether it's stigma or stereotypes, that somehow people that like conservation of the outdoors get kind of boxed in these, well, either A, you're a hunter and fisher person, or B, you're a bird watcher and a hiker. And if we don't have conservation, none of those things are going to exist in its current fashion.
None of those things are going to exist in their current fashion. And I think also we don't want to compartmentalize people like that, because there are a lot of Wisconsinites who love to watch certain kinds of birds and love to hunt certain other kinds of birds.
Right. I mean, I said I love to go hiking. I love walking paths. I love the outdoors. But I don't hunt as much as I used to, but I still occasionally bird hunt and pheasant and turkey. And yeah, I mean, there should not be this categorization, in my opinion. I think it's just really, really unfortunate. Talk to us a little bit about, by the way, we're talking with Alex Modorsky from the Nature Conservancy here, the Wisconsin chapter. Alex, talk to us a little bit about the importance of the funding in this current iteration of the budget and where things stand.
Absolutely. So it's really important, and I'll put out a pitch and appeal right here. The Nature Conservancy is part of a broad coalition of sporting organizations, outdoor recreation organizations, municipal groups supporting the stewardship program. If you go to teamknowlesnelson.org, there's lots of advocacy materials there. And what we're urging people to do right now, as the state budget is in a cloud of uncertainty, is contact your legislators. And you can do that through the website, and contact the governor's office as well. Thank him for being a strong supporter of this program, and let him know, as you negotiate in this foggy arena of the state budget right now, that something that's really important to you as one of his constituents is that he continue to bring that support to the forefront. The program's set to expire in June 2026, and not only the stewardship program, but everything involved with the state budget. It seems to be the case that at the moment there are not sufficient votes to pass a biennial state budget through the state Senate. And what I've been reminding people that means is There's a Democratic governor. There's Republican majorities in both chambers of the legislature. Because there may need to be a bipartisan vote to pass a state budget, that means every elected official counts right now. It doesn't matter whether you're in a bright blue district, a ruby red district, or a purple district. Every legislator has influence on whatever may come in the coming weeks and months. So get in touch with them and let them know you support the program.
I so appreciate your insight and the way you can explain this in a very understandable way. And I'm not going to drag you into other political things that you're not part of, but I just want to point out to our listeners, to our viewers, I talk about on this show all the time that too often when people want to play zero-sum politics, oftentimes you're left with zero. And in my experience, having worked at the state capitol, having worked for a member of Congress out in Washington, that the best politics are those that are pragmatic, that say, you know what, we can get 75% of what we want and live to fight another day, rather than not getting anything and having what we really care about die. And to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, this would seem at one of those times where yeah, there are other issues out there that both the governor and the Republicans legislature are saying, if we don't get X, we're not going to have a budget. And some of those things, like childcare, in my opinion, is worth taking a stand for. But if there is no budget, this is a prime example of the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund. It's just going to go away, and we're going to lose this crown jewel. And you know better than anybody else, once these programs are gone, it's really hard to get them back.
That's right. My high school history teacher is going to be mad at me if he happens to be one of your listeners at home, but somebody said politics is the art of the possible. And I think that's right. I think that people have to go into debates and battles as vigorously as they might be fought, knowing there's a good chance you're not going to get 100% of what you're looking for, but you got to keep programs like this going to strengthen and invest in our state. And, the same is true with the state budget. I won't talk out of school beyond my ken here of the environment, but Wisconsin does have a constitution, unlike the federal government. We keep on going. We don't shut down the government. We keep on going at current funding levels if there's no new state budget. But that means a lot of worthwhile programs are going to potentially cease to be or be dramatically underfunded. So it's my hope that the state assembly, the state senate, and the governor can figure out a path forward on all of these things, including a strong reauthorization for the stewardship program.
I'm not asking you to belie any private conversations you've had, but without naming names, as you, and I think you're a prime example of a, are you technically a lobbyist?
I am a lobbyist,
well, see,
registered and proud of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you hear the term lobbyist, slimy lobbyist. Where this, if you want to know what good lobbying is, folks, this is it. And I think you're doing a great job. And as you talk to people, without naming names, do you find that they'll privately tell you, look, I'm all for this, but blah, blah, blah. I mean, do you find there's actually real bipartisan support amongst the current legislature?
I do, actually. I know that's not always the public perception, but I do think there's real bipartisan support. There was a bill that was discussed a couple weeks ago in the state legislature. I showed up, put on the tie and jacket, the whole lobbyist spiel to testify on this bill, written by Representative Tony Kurtz and Senator Pat Teston, both Republicans. And I think it was a really well-researched, hard-working bill. Wasn't 10 years, it was 4 years. Wasn't $100 million a year, but it was the kind of effort you've discussed, Todd, to get somewhere.
Alex Modorsky of the Nature Conservancy, I cannot thank you enough for your work. Thanks for bringing this to light. I hope people will take your advice, call the governor, call their state legislator, and tell them to support the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund. It is critical for the state. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Todd.
Our pleasure. Come on back. Our old friend Pete Schwaba is going to be calling in, talking about Nightlight. After this, don't go anywhere. We'll wrap it up. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Herbal Aspect has landed. That's right, Madison's go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in Sun Prairie.
Wait, 4 locations? That's a high level of convenience.
With 3 Madison locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is always close by. Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by Herbal Aspect in Sun Prairie, because great cannabis isn't just a pipe dream.
Nice. I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3 Landscaping. With 15 years of top quality service, they treat your property like their own. 608-209-2185 for expert care and a vibrant tomorrow.
Sugar River Pizza and The John and Gordy Show have both been nominated for Madison Magazine's Best of Madison. Thanks for your vote. To celebrate, they're throwing Sugar River Pizza parties at workplaces around Madison all summer. If your workplace would like a Best of Madison pizza party with Sugar River Pizza and John and Gordy, get to WMDXradio.com and tell us why. If your office is selected, the party's on us.
Hey, vote for us and maybe we'll give you an extra slice of pizza.
Maybe.
Or maybe a breadstick. Vote for us.
Go to WMDXradio.com for all the details.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. For the last few months, Governor Tony Evers has said repeatedly that he would make a decision about whether or not to run for a third term after the state budget process is completed. In a recent opinion column at the recombobulation area, I made the argument that the decision that Evers should make should be to not seek a third term as Wisconsin's governor. This argument is not one of ideological differences or policy disagreements. Tony Evers has been a good governor and has served the state well. This more has to do with Evers' age. He'll be 75 years old in November 2026, and about how the Democratic Party has had a massive, inescapable problem in its unwillingness to pass the torch to the next generation. Tony Evers needs to do what so many other Democrats have struggled so mightily to do and step aside when the time is right. And after Joe Biden's catastrophic 2024, this is a conversation we need to be having, and we need to be having it now. Democrats can't keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. It's time to do things differently. Find all of Dan's work at the recombobulation area.
We really got to bring this guy
Hey,
on.
Wisconsin, it's construction
I'm just saying that because I
season,
know you
and
can hear me.
Wisconsin DOT wants to help
Somers
you
is
safely
being a
navigate work
smartass,
zones. Check
Pete.
511wi.gov or download the app for roadwork or closures on your route. Know before you go with 511 Wisconsin. Sponsored by the Wisconsin DOT.
Mommy, can I sit in the front seat just this one time? Please, please, please.
No, not yet.
But why?
Because I love you, and you're just not ready yet. Now, get in the back so I can get you in your car seat, please.
Putting your kids in the right seat for their age and size is an act of love.
Thank you.
Check the
Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, where it is now 8 minutes before the hour of 4 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC, CBS, or James Kelly News, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to across the network, and then weather with Brittany Merlot, and a sports update by our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens. Brewers trying to get a win tonight after getting beat up in a weird and wild game last night against the Pirates. Very quickly, before we go to our next guest, a question came in at the end of the last segment for a listener on WMDX. We had Alex Majorski here from the Nature Conservancy, and the listener asked, I give to the Nature Conservancy annually, but the appeal letter and envelope is always addressed to the Washington, D.C. group. How can I direct my money to the Wisconsin Nature Conservancy? Great question. We asked Alex there during the break, and he said simply go to nature.org, their website, nature.org, O-R-G, and he said it should be listed there, and that'll tell you exactly how to make sure that your monies are given to the Wisconsin site. Correct, Somers?
Yeah, he also said that if you have trouble with that, you can call their office, and they can help you out and figure out how to designate that money. But yes, you can do it. So excellent.
Great. Thanks for that listener question. Great question there from one of our great listeners. Joining us right now via phone from across town. This is how big Pete Schwab is. He before he comes in And when he travels on the road, he travels with an entourage. And there's a presidential suite. He gets a massage. He has hair and makeup. And then he gets into the Civic Media limo. And he is delivered here at the world headquarters in downtown Madison, taking time out of his busy prep for tonight's edition of Nightlight, which you can hear nightly right here from 6 until 8 on the Civic Media Ready Network. The one, the only, Pete Schwabe. Pete, how are you?
Oh, man, that was a heck of an intro. And I got to tell you, it's all true, Todd.
I know it is, yeah.
The massages and the makeup. And the problem is I only get a $5 a day per diem, which in Madison does not go very far. But, you know, Civic Media has offset. I get a foot rub and all the stuff my wife won't do, I get when I come to Madison. So
yeah,
I'll take it.
You got to be careful with $5 massage parlors, Pete.
Well, they put out a nice Sunday brunch. It's not too bad.
Right. There used to be, I think it's gone now, but there used to be a place, maybe you've heard of it, they used to call it Smut and Brunch here in Madison, where you could, I'm serious, this is real. You'd go in on Sunday mornings and they'd have porn playing on the screens, but they served a great breakfast.
How? Oh, really?
I
can't imagine eating.
I know, right?
Watching something like that.
It was called Smut and Brunch.
It was I looked it up. It was called Bennett's Smut and Eggs.
Oh, Smut and Eggs. All right.
It is permanently closed.
It's permanently closed. I never.
Were they able to pass the inspections and all that kind of stuff? Was it?
Or maybe not. Maybe not.
Go all out.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I never went, but many people were saying. Sure. Many people were saying.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know that. I know that old bit.
Right.
I've never been there myself, but I hear the eggs were wonderful.
Right. Over easy, as they say.
A little eggs Benedict with my threesome video.
Well, the place. Okay. I looked again, did some more research. It looks like Bennett's Mennowood Country Club does still exist. I don't know if they still do Smut and Eggs.
Can you imagine what the browsing history is in the producer's studio now, Pete?
Oh, no kidding.
That's crazy.
I've looked up weirder things.
All right.
I think the three of us should do serious research on this. We should take a road trip.
That's right.
Order something off the menu on Civic Media's dime, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
What makes Wisconsin great? Coming up on Nightlight tonight.
Smut and Eggs.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Pete Schwabe. It's great to have you in town here. It's always great when you come down to Madison from the beautiful WGBW studios in Green Bay. We did our show up there a couple of weeks ago. You were kind enough to come on the show then. Always, you have a great crew up there in Green Bay, but great to have you.
We do.
Yes, absolutely. But what is coming up on the big program tonight at 6 o'clock?
I've got singer-songwriter Kaylin Cole, who is, a literal rock star. She's outstanding, and she's a self-defined Madison hippie. I think she lives in Nashville now, but she was on my show in Green Bay about 6 months ago, introduced to her by Terry Barr on a Bar Band Friday night about a year ago. She's just outstanding. So she'll be coming into the studio tonight at 6:35. We'll talk and listen to her sing, and I'll try not to join in. And and then I've got from Cinematic Sisterhood, Milwaukee Film, Susan Kearns joins the show at 7:35. So I got some movies, some music, a great question of the night. It'll be fun.
Oh, that's fantastic. And that's one of the many things I love about this show. It makes me laugh. I learn something. It gets me away from all the hard, goofy news of the day. Any idea? Are we allowed to reveal yet, or does Conrad have this under? He's doing the morning show. Does Dom have the question of the night? Are we allowed to know, or is this a surprise?
We can. I can say the question of the night.
Right.
Because I think we put it out on social media anyway. It's not like Price Waterhouse comes out and keeps it in an envelope until 6 p.m.
Price Waterhouse, I love it.
So we've got, here's tonight's question.
Yeah.
You're in a hotel, it's very late, and you should go to sleep, but this movie is on. What is the movie?
Oh, my gosh.
And that's
great.
fill in the blank. And it happened to me last night. It was Goodfellas. And I started it at like 11, and it went till 2 a.m. And I'm like, I've seen this 30 times. Why am I watching this? But it's one of those films you can't turn off.
It just draws you in.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that happen. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yep, that's another one.
I just
love it.
I keep it
There
on.
are many movies like that. Yeah,
that's a great question.
It's like, well, yeah, I'm going to be up for a couple more hours, I guess, because there's no way I'm turning this nights off. I don't have that kind of discipline.
Exactly. And if you're in one of those cheaper motels, you're hearing things that's like, well, I'm going to be up anyway, so I might as well watch a movie because I can't sleep with the ruckus next door.
Exactly. And I just go over and knock on the door and invite him to brunch the other day at Smut and Egg.
Yes, yes, that's Pete Schwaba. That's quintessential Schwaba right there. You can hear him every evening from 6 until 8, including tonight, right here from World Headquarters. Pete, thanks for making time for us. Break a leg on tonight's show. We'll be listening.
All right, talk soon.
All right, appreciate it. Pete Schwaba, everybody, 6 to 8 tonight. Many thanks to him. Many thanks to Alan Spadorski, also Aaron Summers, and all of you for listening. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next, followed by Schwaba. Don't go anywhere. Until tomorrow, Allbaugh saying whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. See ya.
All righty. Adios, everybody.
Fantastic,
and see
everybody.
you later, Pete,
Appreciate
if you're still
you.
on the line.
All right, thanks, Pete. Bye-bye.